Hello, my beautiful people. How's it going? I know that I am supposed to be working on the Know Thyself episode, but I need to get to this first because I really have to share these stories that happen so frequently. And I'm sharing them with you because, in a way, it's not to convince you how powerful the mind is. Some of this is new to a lot of you, right? And some of this is not. So it's not my job to convince, but I have to share when kick ass stories happen. Okay? So today, what I wanted to talk about and put the urgency on is vibrational frequency because this can be, and not only can be applied, um, I guess that's the best way to put it, can be applied to everything that is going on right now and everything helping move us forward and evolve. And people might say, who cares? What the hell? Whatever, why, whatever. And these different things that have been going on in culture for a long time and may continue on, right? And it's to there's various reasons that it's happening, but the best way to describe evolution in the sense of back in the day when way back, uh, way back, right? I'm talking about before TV and different things like that. That's just a really good example to give the evolution of time of generations and how we used to do things and technology's involvement, right? I don't know what to give you other example other than that. Okay, so we've seen how things have evolved and changed, right? In some ways, there are a lot of cons. So, I'm sorry. There's a lot of pros to advancing, but there's some cons too, right? Pros, cons. And so evolving into the future to hopefully make things better and unite us. I'm all about personal empowerment, but also uniting us, learning about how powerful the mind is and that we can create. I want to share with you how in everyday life we can apply this so that once you see it, you can understand, I guess, how all of this sort of stuff we could incorporate it in changing the world, our community, all of that. That is the point of all of this, okay? Not only making great and magnificent things happen in your life, but also as a whole. And just again, different things to unite us, not divide us. Okay? So I am not the first person talking about how our thoughts and emotions create a vibrational frequency. Okay? That is just a term that's used out there. And you've heard probably before how powerful the mind is. Okay? So this episode is for people. I would say it's going to be more impactful and profound if this is new to you because I can give you real life examples. And then, maybe you're like, that's kick ass. How do I do that? Right. And I've talked a lot about creating from a place of love, which you will make all things in life possible with the power of love and your intention. But you don't have to have love when you're just thinking of a thought, right? And so that's why I think it's really important for you to focus on when I say flipping everything to the positive, because you will see for yourself, while that can be, it's a very disciplined mindset, is that you can apply it to so many different things. Standing, waiting in line, expecting, okay, waiting in line, being in traffic, all these different things that we can say, right, is not going to work out for us. So it's kind of, I would say it's a negative mindset. Okay, um, so in this episode, I want to talk about just some brief crazy examples. I could probably, if I spent more time thinking about it, I could think of way more because this has been going on for 20 years, right? And so it's basically become normal as a part of my life, but also still kind of, I don't want to say it's creepy, but it is because it'll happen in front of you. And what spawned this episode, because this is sometimes is almost a daily basis, is something that happened when we were driving the other day. My daughter and I were driving, and I was talking to her about entering into the crosswalk. So before I get though into that example, is that those of you that are younger and still learning, I guess I would say these are brand new things to you, experiences, right? You're more evolved and you have more information. Is that, and you can really make a game out of this too when this starts happening to you, is that trusting your gut and your intuition. You've heard this before, right? And this is why we have a hard time, a lot of people have a hard time trusting the gut and the intuition, because back in the day, it was kind of pushed aside, right? And people ignored it. And it wasn't always a good thing to ignore it. So I am telling you to listen to your heart, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. I don't know that it's failed very many people. So I want to start there. And when I started looking at how my mind, right, was creating these things in my environment, that's how I know this is not coincidence, is like I kind of thought, well, that was weird that that happened. But until later in life, I realized there was actually a divine sense of order. Actually, not that much later in life. So this is around age like somewhere between 21 and 23. Okay, I was wanting to read people's minds, but like my mom read my mind, and I was like, that was kick ass. I want to learn like how to do that. How do I do that? And so I saw that just by a thought, something would happen. We'll give the everyday examples of, you think of somebody, they call. Back then it was call, right now it's call or text or email or whatever it is. And you would see those sorts of things. It's so many different examples I could give you, just like my daughter's name. Like, it's so unusual that there's no mistaking when I saw it on somebody's, I think it was a sticker and not a license plate. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, and then I saw it again in a magazine. So it, I want to start with the trusting of your intuition and play around. This becomes a game, because then when you see things, you're like, what else can I do with this? So that's how it kind of, I guess, began with me. So I had heard about how powerful the mind is, and I brought this up before the book that I read, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Joseph, I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name, but you can look it up. The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And I always reference that because that is one of the first books I read on all of this. Okay, so thoughts and emotions sending out a vibrational frequency, okay? And this is also related to me talking about how impactful flower essences are, because it's vibrational medicine, okay? So, like I said, this has become natural to me because it happens so often, sometimes within like 5 minutes of me thinking about it or talking about it. And that's why I also encourage people, I know I'm a little bit getting sidetracked, is that drama, gossip, I consider it, from my opinion, if it's not doing something good, it's negative, right? So it's sending negative vibrations out. So just paying attention to every little word that comes out of your mouth or hearing around you or whatever it is. That's another subject matter for talking about drama and gossip, but it's a good example to give, like, what does that feel inside of you when you start talking about other people or things, or hearing the gossip, right? And you are almost feeding it by continuing to do it. And American media, culture, TV, the whole reality TV, when it started like back in the day, and all of that encouraging of all of that kind of stuff, I think it encourages and feeds negativity, right? But it works great for ratings. So words how important, pay attention how often or when you are saying can't or it's too hard, it's difficult. This is the part of the putting in the work. Okay, so that's baby step number one, is paying attention and becoming aware. Becoming aware of yourself, that's why you may have heard a lot of this consciousness, becoming conscious, because you are paying attention. Whether it's paying attention to out there, paying attention to yourself, but when you actually like listen to yourself, you will understand what I mean. So those types of words, right? Can't. This is difficult. This is hard. There's myriad, that's the right word, of different things that can sound, right, negative or hold us back from accomplishing. Okay? I am not the only one to say this. This is not so fantastical. I don't feel now at this point to say we are creators, right? We are creators, and that we can make shit happen. We can move mountains, okay? But you have to align with that and believe that, right? So, how do you get there? That's for another show. But doing things like this is, I want number one for you to pay attention to your words. Okay, pay attention to, you think there's going to be a really long line, and instead of thinking that, you're thinking it's going to be short. um, I'm going to have to be stuck on the phone, I'm going to get a really rude person every time I call, this happens. No, I want you to say, I'm going to get a kind and compassionate person who's going to understand me. It's, again, this is like a programming, right? This makes sense, but it takes work and effort. Okay, so the examples that I want to get to, aside from the intuition and the gut feeling, again, this is not like just necessarily bad gut feelings or whatever it is. It's just called trusting your heart. Maybe it's just not to hang out with somebody anymore. Whatever it is, the feelings that you're getting from somebody initially, usually, right, are like dead on, spot on. Give yourself time to get to know somebody. Sometimes you think you might have a good feeling about the person, and then their actions prove otherwise. Okay, that's why in dating I say friends first. Friends, get to know them first before you start banging or whatever it is. Okay, or hanging out all the time. So another way, an example to help open yourself up or to see what kind of games you can play with this with your mind is asking to be shown, right? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go today? How can I serve? How can I help somebody today? This is with the intention, right, to see, hey, I want to know what Nora's talking about with all this stuff. Like, what can I do? What can I, play with? Whatever it is. And if you are asking yourself these questions, like, is there a reason for me being here? You will see and hear, you will hear from a lot of people that have asked, they get to a point in their life where, like, what the fuck does all this mean? What's going on? What is this? Why am I here? A lot of us and different age ranges will ask this question because there is a sense of, was I going to say monotony or mundaneness, or doing your daily and just acting like a robot, like some people come to this place. And so some people find their mission, a specific mission or their calling, right? Some of them find it and some of them do not. So I am here to help show you how you can get to that place. Generally, I can tell somebody once I get them talking and hear the stories of their life. Everybody has a unique perspective, right? So once they start telling me about these different things in their life, not only I'll be able to tell you, okay, these different lessons or whatever it is you're supposed to go through or whatever you saw in your home life or whatever, right? It's usually related to that. Okay, so way to play around with this game, which you've probably already noticed some things. You thought that was weird, that was coincidence or whatever it is, okay? If you are paying attention, but some people are not paying attention. Okay, so I'm going to give you the example. So the other day, we were driving. We are still, our daughter is in the period of, like, she has her permit right now, right? So we were driving, and she stopped at a crosswalk. And she started to go into the crosswalk because, the person was halfway over. And of course, I've done these things and different things, but in educating her, I said, I don't know, you may get a ticket for entering into the crosswalk. It depends maybe on the mood of the cop or whatever it is, or whatever the situation. But the point is, if the person were to get hit, you're going to be responsible because um, you're not supposed to enter in the crosswalk, like at all. And I'm not saying I'm well versed in all the laws of different things, right? I know a lot about human behavior in some ways, but I don't know about different things when it comes to the law. But like I said, you possibly could get a ticket, right? So I said, I believe you have to wait until they completely cross before you can enter, right? Because, and then I said, because you never know, maybe the person's gonna change their mind, and who knows, like, gonna change their mind and like run back or like whatever it is that I said. And I don't know that to be true, but the point is, like, people can be unpredictable, right? You don't know, say they dropped something or whatever, and you're already in the crosswalk, right? So I'm trying to get her into these habits of basically paying attention to everything going on. People can be unpredictable, and especially to practicing downtown, I like it that she has to look at everything. Pedestrians, there's trees everywhere, there's cars everywhere, there's crosswalks, there's bike lane, whatever, right? So what happens? We go up to the next light, and the car is turning right into the crosswalk, and there is a person in their wheelchair with like an umbrella in the air, and they're wheelchairing backwards. They're going backwards in their wheelchair. And we both laugh because I always have these examples for her, right? It's funny as shit. Okay, so I wanted to give you the example of that. And there's tons of other things I've been talking about and sharing with her these different things. And tons of more other stories, people. It could just even be like, because she complains basically about everything and doing everything, right? It's not like a teenager thing. It's just, she's really just content, just in general with life, right? In her own little world. And so when the one thing I can get her to do is go on the treadmill, right? But I sometimes will make her go to a class with me. And so there was a class that ended early because of a fire drill. I think that's what it was. This was like maybe a year ago. And I was like, did you do this? And she's like, well, I was thinking about how I didn't want to go and how I wish, that I could leave, or whatever the thought was. And so every time something like this happens, which has happened more than once, I ask her if she did this, like with her mind. Because she's always doing that kind of stuff, like with things, going to things and things don't work out for me. I was like, oh my God, my own kid, she is using this against me. So, other examples, we've been on walks before where we see somebody jogging ahead of us, and I don't even know what we were talking about, but basically, like, we were both talking or thinking about, watch, that person's going to stop running or whatever, because we've been talking about this, and I always talk about the power of the mind. The person stops running. Shopping, this is a basic thing, right? Always thinking positive. Like, they are out of something right on the shelf, but it's a part of asking though too, is like, I bet you they're gonna have this. I'm just gonna ask. Just because it's not on the shelf, it's probably in the back or something like that. It's my persistence, people. I think this is also too why I never give up on anything, especially love, is that my persistence. Okay, so guess what? They had the thing. I've even had called somewhere and been like, do you have blah blah blah? And they're like, no. And then I think to myself, I'm just gonna go over there. I bet you it's there. Like, they didn't see it or something or whatever. Not giving up. Just asking, if you always come from loving intentions and an area to grow yourself, you will always succeed. because you have the love in your heart and you believe these things. And like I said, I am not the only one, people, talking about this. The only reason, or one of the only reasons of something not working out, or what you planned, or whatever it is, I'm currently still in this stage of my life, is the divine timing of certain things. Okay, that would be a reason. If you're coming from love, good intentions, and all of that sort of growth, like I've talked about in my holistic model, all these different things that I've worked on. What was did Reiki work? Did the shamanic work? Did shamanic types of what would you call it, healings? Did the crystals work? Did the candles work? Did the whatever? And it all comes back to intention and being focused and being serious about it. Okay, writing it out on a piece of paper. So divine timing would be the only reason that something does not work, people. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end. This is actually longer than I thought, but I wanted to talk about this, is that maybe these unique examples will help. Well, the wheelchair sort of thing is very unique, but there's so many other things I could give you examples of, and I don't really know what people want to hear about specifically, if you just want to hear more examples, but there are many of them that I can give you, but I don't want to overwhelm, and I want to just share with you. Get that book, or I think it's on Audible, and I don't know how else to, or who else to reference, but just start practicing. Okay, being conscious and aware of your words, paying attention, like I said, to when maybe something's just going to come up, and again, you would just blow it off as a coincidence. But there is an actual divine order, and me just helping you pay attention, right? Pay attention. What you can create, and these are the steps that are going to help all of us evolve to help in general. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and end this right here, and maybe I don't know if I'll talk about more examples again. I need to move on with the Know Thyself episode and give you the steps for that, because again, that is a part of trusting ourselves, and this is an everyday issue for a lot of us. Even now, I still, in some ways, I have to trust myself on certain things that still, I guess would say it's still a struggle for me. And that's it, people. Okay, so I will see you in the next episode. I hope this helps you, kind of provides an understanding, whether you are a spiritual person or a religious person. Maybe this is a way to just open you up to seeing life's connections more, and that they're not just these things that are provided that you see, you're like, that was weird or whatever. For me, it was a message in showing me life's connections. That's what it was doing, and the power of my mind. I don't know, had I not had these examples, whether I would have put it all together till I started paying attention. Okay, so I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.